Welcome to Aran Island Discs, a podcast series where we talk to Irish people from different walks of life as they reflect on their own journeys. Join me, Russell McDermott, as we explore the many aspects of Irishness and what it means to each of our guests through life's ups and downs. Christopher Murphy, welcome to Aran Island Discs.
Well, it's great to be here, and I've always dreamed about the Aran Islands since I was a small boy, and I heard all the excitement about that film by Robert Flaherty, The Man of Aran. I read the books that were written about it, and it was always my dream to end up in Aran. But it took me a very long time to get there. My first trip was a fiasco. I was in a Puchon that we hired for an afternoon sailing in Roundstone, and I said to the boatman, "Why don't we sneak off to Aran?" "We'll go to Aran," he says. We're off to Aran, stamping his feet on the floorboards, and we bent over in the westerly gale and went shooting off to Aran. But as we got near the island, there was a small boy that the boatman had brought along, and he had heard terrible things about Ireland. You know, the mainlanders, they don't trust the islanders at all.
Do they not?
And, he didn't know what they wouldn't do to him, and he started to howl. And the boatman was so put out by the howling of the little boy, turned the boat around. And I was bitterly disappointed I didn't get to Aran. But I had compensation. I got to Inishbofin under sail, all the way from Ballyconneely, which is a good long sail, through the Elbow Sound, which is extremely dangerous when the tide is running. Yeah. And I fell in love with Inishbofin. And we went on from there to the Killery, where I picked up my poet brother Richard. He was sitting on a bollard on a pier at Rossrow, sucking his pencil, trying to think of a rhyme with Meal Ray. Well, I don't know, but I imagine that's what he was at. And suddenly we came shooting through the little sound with the tide behind us, and Richard was captured by the vision of sailing in a Puchon around the seas in the west. He'd been living in Connemara for some time, but never set foot on a boat. But when he saw me, his elder brother, enjoying myself so much in a boat, he had to come with us. And as a result of that, he wrote the book, his first sailing book that was, I think, his all-time bestseller, Sailing to an Island. It was about a disastrous trip we tried to make in the Puchon to Clare Island, which is my ultimate destination. And unfortunately, the wind was against us, and we had to turn round and run with the wind, which got so strong that the boom broke, and we were nearly shipwrecked. But we managed, by strapping an oar to the broken boom, we ran into Boffin Harbour and
took refuge.
He fell in love with the island, and that on Boffin became his second home, more or less. He ran a business. Between writing poetry, he took tourists on trips on his 2 Puchons and out to Boffin and roundabout, and made a great success of it. As one of the locals said, Richard put Boffin on the map. And as another fella said, echoing the words of the first man, Boffin on the map where it never was before.
And did you ever make Aran Islands after that?
And finally I did. Later on in life, we took the ferry from Rossaville.
All right. Yeah.
And there was my beloved wife, who's my life support. She is not one for the sea. She comes from the mountains. And you'd see her run up and down a mountain like a goat, but out on the sea.
Legless.
She's not so happy. So there we are. You'd think there was an incompatibility there, but there wasn't really.
Yeah.
We made allowances for each other. Love is stronger than the difference between mountains and sea.
Yeah. And tell us
we
this.
we got to Aran,
Yeah.
and I had a few words about the weather with the Jarvey that took us round to show us the sights.
Yeah.
And I think it was on Aran the first time that I felt I was losing the loose of my legs on a trek to Dún Angus.
Yeah.
Dún Angus, the path to it is it's like the road to Calvary. It's terrible
It is.
altogether.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you don't want to look over the edge because you might do what the cows do.
A gust of wind might take you.
You lose your head and you're gone.
Yeah. Fabulous spot, though.
A wonderful spot.
Amazing.
Oh, it was the fulfillment of a life's ambition getting to Aran.
Mm.
And after visiting Inishmore and seeing all the wonderful old sites there, we got another trip to Inisheer some weeks later from Dublin on the other side of Galway Bay. So I really felt I'd fulfilled a life's ambition getting to the Aran Islands and hearing Irish spoken all around me.
What year was that, Christopher? About?
No, the year was not like many years back. 13. Yeah. So I was
yesterday.
Well advanced in years by that time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on reaching 100 years yesterday.
Yeah. Something I never thought I'd make, but there we are. I'm
a great
into my
achievement.
second century already.
Yeah, that's it. Tell us what it's like. Is it good so far? It's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, it was wonderful. We celebrated the occasion in a way that I don't suppose there was ever 100th birthday like it. We had 60 family in the house in Dublin, and children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. One of them not a year old yet.
And tell us, I've been to a few schools in my time in 3 or 4 different countries, but looking at yours, from Galway, Colombo to Colombo, you've been, your education in Canterbury, for a short early life, you've been to a few schools in a few different countries. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. It was great, yes. I think it was useful to get the different angles on life.
Yeah. But Colombo was very different.
So, yes, Colombo, I remember it well. There was this plump little old lady. It was a sort of dame school. And she told us all kinds of interesting things. Like, for instance, she had been to Europe on a boat, and on the way she had seen this star in the sky that moved up and down. All the other stars moved round and round, but this one moved up and down. And you know what it was? It was Halley's Comet.
Wow.
And it does move up and down. But when I got back and I told my parents that Mrs. Green had told us about a star that moved up and down that didn't go round and round, they laughed at me. They told me I'd got it all wrong, and they thought Mrs. Green was misleading, but she was right.
Bang on the money. Halley's Comet.
Halley's Comet, yes. I got a very, very faint glimpse of it years and years later on this next appearance.
Yeah.
It's only about once in 100 years that it appeared.
Not many of us can even think of a second time, never mind the first time, so fair dues.
Yeah, well, there you are. It came out when Julius Caesar was murdered.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yes, yes. And the Romans said, that's Caesar going to heaven.
Right, I thought. And tell us, was your life in that year in Colombo, whatever, that influenced you in joining the Indian Army, or where did that grow or interest come from?
No, well...
Because you studied in Canterbury, you did the music, you were in Colombo. How did you end up leaving all that and end in India? There must have been some role.
The thing was, with the war, I joined the British Army, and they shipped me out to India for officers' training in Bangalore. And that was a great spot. I was in the same barracks, more or less, that Winston Churchill was in. 50 or more years before.
Yeah.
He rode a pony round the place. I was given a bicycle.
Well, it's the same thing, isn't it? Metal horse.
And I found India very, very interesting.
Mm.
And I was always interested in languages. So I learned Army Urdu, and I got good at it. And I volunteered to be attached to the Indian Army. So when I got commissioned, I was packed off in charge of an Indian detachment. I ended up in motor transport. I found the heat of India marching on my 2 feet was too much for me. I used to have an Irish skin, you know.
Yeah.
I cannot take too much heat. I was covered in prickly heat, and when traveling by train, which I seem to do a lot in India, I had to strip to the waist and sit by an open window and let the breeze blow on me.
Yeah.
And you know what? When the Indians saw the state of my prickly heat, they thought I had smallpox. It would empty the carriage. I had the carriage to myself because they were so afraid they'd catch the smallpox. But they didn't know about the Irish skin.
And how many years were you in India?
Oh, they're not that long at all, actually. Only about less than 2 years.
Mm.
But I enjoyed my time there. And when independence came along, or when independence was pending, I was packed off back to Ireland, when Northern Ireland was the home base of the regiment, basically, that I was commissioned in, the Enniskilling Fusilier. So I missed, happily, the terrible troubles that happened when India was partitioned.
Right. And then your time in Northern Ireland was long?
No, not too long.
Mm.
I was in charge of a fleet of vehicles because I had given up infantry work, and I was a motor transport officer for the last couple of years in the army, and I was very grateful for getting behind the wheel. And I used to conduct driving tests 2 years later when I settled in England after a long wait time abroad. They insisted on my taking a second driving test, and they failed me.
Did they?
The humiliation was tremendous, but I managed to pass on the second go. I had to give up that license only a few years back, and of course I have the most wonderful driver here. And
you get chauffeured though.
I get chauffeured everywhere.
Or chauffeur.
There is some compensation to old age, you know. There's many compensations.
I'm sure there are.
Especially the devotion of my lovely wife.
Lucky. And where does Irishness fit in your life, Chris? With all this travel, is Irish something deeply ingrained in you?
Oh, yes. I was always looking forward to getting back to Ireland. And I had this dream that started at the age of 4 or 5 when we were living in a bungalow near Aran, in sight of Auchnanure Castle. And I thought that was the most romantic thing in the world. My grandfather used to take me up and down the castle. And I thought, when I grow up, I'll buy this place and live in it. At that time, the place still belonged to the O'Flaherty of Lemonfield, whose great-great-great-grandfather had built the place. But then it was given eventually to the state. And my guardian angel guided me towards a terrible heap of stones on the other side of the corrib. But when restored, it made a much more accessible castle. And now I'm the proud promoter of Carrigain Castle, which the Irish Americans of romantic persuasion just love. It's quite beautiful.
Yes.
And look it up on the net, Carrigain.
Been there and done it. I've looked at the rates as well.
Yeah.
And how long did that take you from start to finish in terms of the idea you had?
If you just count barely getting the place habitable, it was only just over a year. A bit of planning, with a bit of planning thrown in, I suppose, it was about 2 years. I bought it in September 69, and in August 71, we were living in it.
Wow.
But it wasn't very comfortable yet. And I'm still at improving the place, but it has reached the stage that it's almost luxurious now. Almost, but it's not. We don't advertise it for luxury. It's the romance of the place. It is very beautiful, and it has a lovely garden around it. I spent the lockdown
there
designing an extension to the garden, which is now something like about 3 or 4 acres, and has 22 flower beds of considerable length, and lovely lawns and trees and one thing and another. We had a lot of damage in the storm to the garden, not to the house at all. And fortunately, one way or another, the insurance paid for the whole restoration.
Wow.
I think that was a great piece of luck, because if a tree falls down in a storm, you get no insurance. But if it falls on top of something else, you get insurance for what else it broke. And one way or another, we did very well there.
Luck is with you. Tell us about this harling, the skill of harling that you need to get people to do the stonework.
Oh, yes. Well, you know, when I was living with my grandparents in Aran in the 30s, people were still building in stone with lime mortar. And the lime mortar was wonderfully strong and even waterproof. I know my grandfather built some extra water tanks, and it was all done with lime mortar. But the art of mixing lime in such a way that it makes a real coating as hard as concrete, but breathable and more flexible, that all died out completely. No more stonemasons, no more lime burners. Every townland in the West used to have a lime kiln.
Yeah.
And anyone in the townland that wanted to do a bit of building would go and dig a bit of lime out. The lime would last a very long time, constantly wet in the rain, you see.
Yeah.
But now, in the last few years, I'm really delighted that the art of lime plastering has been revived, and there are practitioners all around the West now who do a wonderful job of lime plastering. The only thing is that it was a very common sort of trade once upon a time. There was no special premium paid for lime plastering. Anyone could do it. Everyone knew what the tricks and of the trade were.
Yeah.
But now it's a very specialized job.
Yeah.
And only very specialized lime they import from Germany is used. So you pay a fancy premium for lime plastering today.
Yeah, you do. I take your word for it.
Oh, yeah.
And when you demobilized, then you went to Africa, you worked for Shell, you ended up in finance with James Cable.
Yeah, that's when you settled down, yeah.
And became serious.
Yeah, I became serious, yes. And I had 13 years in Shell, seeing the world.
Mostly in Africa, was it?
Well, no, it was 3 years in Africa, and I got very good at Swahili.
Yeah.
And I built my first house in Africa. It was a mud and wattle house with thatched roof. And when people said it was a scandal that the British hadn't built fancy houses for all the Africans in Kenya, that they were living in mud huts.
Mm.
I said, well, I lived in one myself, and it was a very, very nice place. Yes, I enjoyed Africa very much. The lovely climate in Kenya and beautiful countryside. There are lots and lots of very willing people that will work for you there. So you can do all kinds of funny projects that you mightn't be able to do anywhere else in the world because the labor is available.
Yeah. And what's it like to be, I mean, you're a pioneer in the sense of being in these kind of places, whether an Irishman or not, you were, white in these places. You felt comfortable being out of, like a duck out of water, or you never felt any issues of being in these new places, fear or scared, or it was just an adventure?
Yeah, I was, the odd time you'd be scared of the wild animals.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I went wandering in the bush on my own. I climbed up a place called Roaring Rocks, which I think they must have taken as the image for the Lion King.
Yeah.
And I got to the top of the Roaring Rocks. There was a wonderful view, and Jesus, the smell of lion suddenly nearly knocked me over, and that really scared me. So what I do, filled my pockets with stones.
Just in case.
And I went and ran down the little path, throwing stones into the bushes, and there'd be a lion waiting for me.
Yeah.
They don't like to get pelted.
And you got away with it.
And I got away with it, yeah. I'm still here, yes. On another occasion, I was driving along a road when I was more or less ambushed by a herd of elephants. They were knocking the trees around on the side of the road and trumpeting away. And fortunately, I looked in the rear view mirror. There were no elephants behind me. So I quickly reversed at the highest speed I've ever driven a car in reverse. And I got away because an elephant can do awful damage.
They're more dangerous in a way.
Oh, yes.
In a car, out of a car.
Elephants are a lovely breed, and very intelligent, but they're very dangerous. And if you do the wrong thing and they don't like you, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But I was astonished on a return visit to Kenya that I was shown by the native guide a tamed African elephant. What had happened was the mother had died, and they brought up this calf as a tame creature, and it was a real pet. But African elephants, they were never tamed in the ordinary course of events. And what was so amusing was the way the elephant went and ran his trunk into the truck, and scared the wits out of all the women that were holed up in the truck. They weren't going out to pet any wild elephant.
Because they breathe through their trunk, don't they? It's nice thing, they're big.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do, yeah. They snuffle around. They like to share a sandwich,
Yeah, steal a sandwich, yeah.
Yeah.
And then from all that, you went back to work in London for James Cable, for example, and got involved in investment.
Yeah, that's right. By chance, I made friends with a partner of Cable's, and I joined the firm and worked for them for over 30 years.
30 years.
As a matter of fact, that was the big experience of my life. I still have dreams about I'm still working for Cable. And people are telling me I'm getting too old for the job.
But they were obviously good times. You enjoyed London.
I enjoyed that very much. It was hard enough work, but and I was able to make a little bit of money on the side to build the castle in Ireland. But it was really building it in one corner from the ground up. There was only one corner that was nearly complete.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So it was a ruin.
It was, there was a ruin, but it was a laughable heap of stones. Everyone thought I was quite cracked, including the builder that I took on to do the job. But he did a lovely job just the same.
And who's laughing now, you say?
Yeah.
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 And do you have you must have a high level of what we call these days as trendy resilience or inner strength or conviction or a view. I mean, the way you tell the story, it sounds like you're a buccaneer, but also in your mind, you had a series of thoughts and plans of things you wanted to do, and you just went about them, regardless of what people said.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was always on to something. Friends of the family hadn't been in touch for a few years to say, what is Chris up to now? I was always up to something. The castle was the biggest preoccupation, of course. And it remains so. We were there only just over a week ago for 3 weeks, and my very able and lovely wife runs the staff to look after the place because it takes a lot of staff. It's not a money-making proposition, but you hope that it's going to make enough money to keep itself going. That's the important thing. And the garden is fun.
Yeah.
Lovely American visitors there who enthuse about the place. They often talk more about the garden than they do about the building itself.
They must love the location.
The location is lovely on the shores of Loch Corrib. Yes. You know, a water setting makes all the difference.
Beautiful, yeah. And you always wanted to come back to Ireland after all your travels. It was always,
yes.
The homing instinct was there.
Yes. You know, there was an Irish proverb. I was going to quote it in Irish, but I lost the Irish. It says, your feet will always take you where your heart is. And I thought that was a wonderful quotation. And
who said that? You know, who wrote that?
It's an old proverb.
Irish proverb.
A shanachal,
Right.
an old proverb, yeah. Your feet will take you where your heart is.
So you're back now.
And back now, yes, and enjoying life very much. It can be fun thanks to tender care, loving care, and modern medicine. You can still have a great time at 100.
I can see that. And when you look back, how has Ireland changed from the place you grew up in to come back? I know it's changed, but how radical would you explain to somebody you met in the lift and said, back to where I grew up, and it's changed exponentially?
Oh, yes, it has changed greatly.
Have we lost anything or gained things?
The owl speech has gone. Now, I'm as good at the owl speech as better than most of the modern people. I can raise a laugh in Galway by coming out like one of their grandparents. But I'll tell you what the astonishing daily things, it's the quantity of traffic in Dublin and everywhere in Ireland.
Yeah.
Now, there are more cars now than there were bicycles.
Yeah, in the good old days. Yeah.
Or ponies and carts and one thing and another. I drove a NAS cart myself around the roads of Mayo, and if you see a NAS cart today, it's an exhibition outside the pub.
There's a movie being made somewhere, I think, or it's just for show.
Oh, yes. But, you know, I think people with the increased prosperity, people have got happier. And
less modelling, less sad, or just happier.
The friendliness of Ireland is wonderful, especially if you're coming from England. You know,
stiff upper lip stuff.
It's quite different, but it was always like that. When my brother and I were at school in England, we would be waiting for the moment we'd set foot in Ireland. You get on a train, and everyone would be gassing and chatting and laughing and exchanging stories.
But it is very different. I mean, I've not travelled as much as you, perhaps, but I know there's something about Irishness which we take for granted here. When you go away, people don't communicate or gas or chat in the same way that we traditionally do here, saying, how are you, how's she going, how's she cutting? Just to say, how's the weather? Other countries don't do that.
No, that's true. That's true. And that's what's so nice. And, the other thing is there's a kind of a twinkle in the eye. And it sounds funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, look at you with the pair of eyes there twinkling away, laughing.
I'm laughing with you. But the things we say, soft day, there's different ways we kind of break the ice. Weather's important, how's she cutting? Just silly old things other people wouldn't, but it breaks, people just, you wouldn't pass the road traditionally without saying hello to somebody. Whereas you would do that in London or Spain. If you don't know them, you don't say hello.
Yeah, that's right, yes. And the other thing that I find is it's sort of gratifying in Ireland is, well, especially say in Dublin or anywhere, if I go out for a walk, I'll see several people that are so like me and my relations that I think we must be related. And that's, I suppose, the result of a small population.
Yeah.
But yes, I have. There's a great interest also in genealogy. The old Irish kings and chieftains, one of their important aids was the genealogy. And now my youngest son, Christoph, we call him, is really named after me, but we shortened the name to distinguish us.
It sounds very noble.
And he's now the family genealogist.
Is he?
Oh, yes. And he's been sorting out the ancestry, debunking some of the descent from English kings. But one of the things that he has established is that one of our ancestors was the brother of Granuaile.
So Clare Ireland plays a role in your life.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people related. And I see old photographs of old Ireland. The prettiness of the girls was such that Queen Victoria, when she came to Ireland, she couldn't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
How pretty. And that it's true enough today. It's still
the same. Yeah.
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 And my mother was an exceptionally pretty woman. And I see old postcards, which are quite a vogue. The girls outside the thatched cottage, they look just like my mother.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And my mother was a rather snobbish, aristocratic Anglo-Irish lady.
Was he?
But we're all mixed up in the same blood,
In the end, yeah. And so music, favorite music that's traveled with you, Chris?
Oh, yes.
The decades that you've used in good times, bad times, one or two songs, what would they be?
Well, there were now the songs now, as a chorister at Canterbury Cathedral, half our education was musical education.
Yeah.
And so it was all music. And ever since those days, I've always had some kind of a tune going around in my head. It can be prompted by anything like, a donkey's bray might set me off, and I can't stop it, don't have much control over it. But so it's a huge variety. But there was some lovely Irish songs that I love. And the Snowy-Breasted Pearl, for example.
And that would be one that you'd drawn to.
That's right, yeah. And I love at parties in the West the unaccompanied singing that goes on. And the storytelling.
Stories get
There are still some, I was surprised to hear there are still some storytellers around. Well, every older person was a Shanachie in the old days, but there is still some, and you can rent them out, I believe. You should get a few in for your interviews.
It's part
tell you
of
the story.
our culture, isn't it? To be able to tell a story is part of our culture. It's kind of
Oh,
seen
yes.
through the generations, and to
That's
tell a
right.
good tale, told or not, is important.
Yes, your old tales, as they used to say to me. There were lots of, course, an awful lot of Irish people in London. And I worked for a year for a bank where the staff manager was a Daily, and half the staff were Irish. Some beautiful girls.
And when you look back at the now 100 years, can you imagine where you've ended up, the things that have happened to you when you think back to the guy and the young boy in Canterbury Cathedral and choir, the year in
yes.
Carmore Abbey? Can you?
I have a very good memory of things that happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Things that happened yesterday, I might slip my mind.
The less important.
Yes, but I have what the Romans called a mementrix, and she keeps me posted if anything slips my mind.
Yeah.
But I've a wonderful early memory of seeing the mighty British airship, the R-101, flying over Dublin. And that happened on the 17th of November, 1929. I don't remember the date. I had to look that up. But I remember the event and the excitement and all rushing to the landing window in Terranure where we could see this mighty airship with escorting biplanes flying over. And you know why it was flying over Dublin? It was on test, and the captain was a Dublin man.
Was he?
And he wanted to show his family what he could do. But unfortunately and sadly, a year later, it crashed in flames in France. It was supposed to provide a rapid link between Britain and India. India was the jewel in the crown of the British Empire.
Yeah.
Imagine 400 million people ruled by 40 million Brits.
Yeah. It's the history of the empire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing story. It was something that my father had a great belief in, the empire. He thought it was a wonderful institution that would last forever.
Yeah. Well, the Romans thought the same, probably.
Yeah. He said the trouble with the Romans was they died out and they became corrupt. The British Empire is impeccably honest and it will last forever. But it hadn't quite disappeared when he died in 1965.
So he saw it change in his lifetime.
But India and Sri Lanka, where he worked for 30 years. He was the last colonial mayor of the city of Colombo.
Was he?
And still remembered there. I went back on a visit and it was very, very interesting. They looked up his records for me, but the trouble is that the Sinhalese language doesn't have a sound for F. So Murphy was a name that they stumbled over.
Yeah, Murphy. Yeah. It would be, Some of our names confuse everybody. Once you leave Ireland, your Aoifes and your Cuivas and your surnames, people can't get their head around them. So I understand that. And when you look back now, Christopher, on the 100 years, what's your takeaway? What would you say to somebody as a short phrase of, you're obviously a very positive person, you've done great things, things have gone your way, you're now celebrating Carrigain, you enjoy that. How would you sum up 100 years to somebody of a young person?
Yeah, well, I think you need to have an enthusiastic interest, always going.
Is it curiosity? The being positive is about being curious and asking questions?
Curious and asking questions, yes, that's right. I think studying literature is a great thing, poetry and that. Now, my brother, Richard Murphy, you may have heard of him. Yeah. He was a great poet and he lasted till 90. That's not a bad age.
That's not bad. 100 is a fine age, Christopher. Thank you very much for joining us today on Aran Island. It's a great pleasure to talk to you.
Well, it's lovely to pass on some of my reminiscences.
Verbo last-minute deals make chasing fresh mountain powder incredibly easy. With thousands of homes close to the slopes, you can easily get Epic Pow, Freshies, First Tracks, and more. No need for months of planning. In fact, you can't even plan Pow. Pow is on its own schedule. Thankfully, somewhere in the world, it's always snowing. All you have to do is use the last-minute filter on the app to book a last-minute deal on a slope-side private rental home. Book now at Verbo.com.